The Marine Admirals are some of the strongest characters in all of One Piece, with the likes of Garp, Akainu, or Sengoku being more than capable of fighting even Yonko-level pirates. Which actually makes you wonder, what would happen if the Admirals had actually become pirates instead of Marines? And we're starting this video at light speed with Admiral Kizaru, or as he's known in this timeline, Captain Borsalino. Now, in case you didn't know, every Admiral has a code name that translates in Japanese to a color and an animal, so Kizaru meaning yellow monkey. However, since Borsalino never became a Marine in this timeline, he never gets this code name. So what would this guy be like if not for the Marines? Let's take a look at his inspiration. You see, every single Admiral is based on a famous Japanese actor. In this case, Borsalino is based on Kunie Tanaka, an actor well known for playing thugs, mobsters, or even Yakuza members. And in addition, his name Borsalino actually comes from a French movie called Borsalino, which is also about mobsters. In fact, just look at this old flashback version of Borsalino, and it's even more clear to tell that this guy was clearly modeled after a gangster. And so, unlike other admirals, he doesn't go on and on about justice. It seems more like he's just an enforcer for the most powerful gang around, which is the world government. Well, let's say that baby Borsalino didn't want to be a square working for the man. Where would he then go instead? Well, it seems like an organized crime family would be the perfect place for him, which would put him right at home on a crew like Capone Beige. Unfortunately though, the timeline doesn't really work for that, since Beige only set sail as a pirate a few years ago in the story. But we do of course have another wonderful contender for a mafia, which is the Don Quixote family. That's right, in this timeline, a young Borsalino looking for a job where he gets free reign to beat people up would cross paths with none other than the Doflamingo family. Treble and the other executives would make him an offer that he couldn't refuse. In just the same way that the world government gives Kizaru free reign to deal with pirates, Doflamingo's status as a celestial dragon also grants his crew a certain degree of immunity from consequences. And so, for the sake of argument, we'll just say that somewhere along the way, Borsalino will still get his light devil fruit. After all, as underworld brokers, the Doflamingo family is pretty good at procuring anything that they want, including strong devil fruits, and we can even say that Pika helps him get the Pika Pika no Mi. I don't know why I did that joke. Anyways, at this rate, this kind of raises one big concern. How can Borsalino be a subordinate on Dofi's crew if, let's be real, he is much stronger than Doflamingo? And to be fair, it is kind of out of the ordinary for a crewmate to be stronger than their captain, but does Borsalino really strike you as the ambitious captain type? I mean, just remember, he was more than happy to just sit back and relax while Akainu and Aokiji fought over the fleet admiral position. In other words, as long as he has the power to do whatever he wants, Borsalino seems very much happy to play the second fiddle to someone else and not have to carry all those burdensome responsibilities that come with being the top dog. Now, of course, Doflamingo having a powerhouse like Borsalino working with him would totally alter the landscape of One Piece. I mean, the early beginnings of the trajectory look pretty much the same. They would capture Dressrosa with ease, and Dofi would be named one of the 7 warlords still. However, Doflamingo wouldn't be satisfied stopping there and working as an arms dealer for the other Yonko, because with the additional power afforded by Borsalino, he would expand his empire and actually become a Yonko with territory on par with Big Mom's Totland. And I'd even go so far as to theorize that with Doflamingo being pushed against stronger opponents and having stronger subordinates, he himself might even grow much stronger compared to where we see him in the story. In other words, once the Straw Hats would later arrive on Dressrosa, Dofi would have both Borsalino and Fujitora on his side, allowing him to decimate the Straw Hat Alliance. Borsalino would even take out Sanji with a light speed kick. And so for his status as a Yonko commander, and probably the strongest at that, Borsalino would earn at least a bounty of 1 billion berries. However, this berry is nothing compared to the ones we'll see later in the story. Now, Fujitora, the purple tiger on the other hand, or Isho as he's known in the timeline, is a very mysterious guy. I mean, he's clearly a samurai, and where are samurai from? Well, Wano as far as we know. And who did we not hear from at all during the Wano arc? That is right, Isho. Now, for the sake of argument here, with no other leads to go on, we're just gonna assume for the moment that Isho is actually from Wano, and it it just hasn't been revealed quite yet. After seeing all the atrocities committed by Orochi and Kaido in his homeland, he cut out his own eyes and blinded himself. He then probably left Wano to wander the world, very much like the character that he's based on, Zatoichi, the blind samurai, who's portrayed by Shintaro Katsu. However, in this timeline, he first wanders directionless, but after finding and eating the gravity fruit, Isshin believes that he has gained enough power to take his country back. In other words, he vows to take revenge for his homeland and set sail as a pirate. The first step is to find fellow allies who are similarly invested in the fight for Wano, and it just so happens that several survivors from Wano were hiding out, creating a new life for themselves in the East Blue. And so in 𝚎𝚐𝚐 village, most of the citizens don't have a lot of confidence in their ability to do anything against Kaido, but Issho does rally a few people, including a tenacious young swordsman with his eyes set on becoming the world's strongest swordsman. That's right, in this timeline, Issho's first mate is none other than a young Roronoa Zoro, the great nephew of one of Issho's former comrades, 𝚎𝚐𝚐 Oshimaru. And since the Fujitora that we know has a real love for gambling, we think it wouldn't be past him winning some more powerful crewmates through the pirate gambling game known as the Davy Backfight. So maybe after learning about the game from the Foxy Pirates and easily defeating them, they use this game to recruit more strong allies to advance on the forces of Wano. And once they finally sail on Wano, Kaido's forces would see a fleet of ships approaching, bearing an ominous Jolly Roger, a skull crushing down to earth like a meteor. Now, I think the forces of the Beast Pirates would be completely caught off guard as giant meteors crash down upon Onigashima. In other words, the Beast Pirates would now be under siege by Issho, captain of the Meteor Pirates. And using this as their opportunity to attack, the Red Scabbards would also come out of their hiding to serve as allies in the sudden war on Kaido and Orochi's forces. Then, after a hard-fought battle, a meteor would plunge Kaido into the depths beneath Wano to burn in the magma Mount Fuji, and for defeating a Yonko, Issho could then earn a bounty of 3 billion and be named one of the 4 emperors. Which honestly, we don't know if Fujitora would be actually strong enough to take on someone like Kaido, but now we need to really stretch our imaginations and ask the question, what if Kuzan was a pirate? Oh, wait. He's already a pirate. Well, as the 10th Titanic captain of the Blackbeard Pirates, Admiral Aokiji, or Blue Pheasant, now going by his real name, Kuzan, is about as pirate as you can get already. However, while we're using our imagination, let's write a bit of an alternate timeline for him as well. Now, in our timeline, Aokiji doesn't leave the Marines after his fight with Akainu, and instead he leaves far earlier when he first starts doubting whether the Marines are truly representing justice. In other words, after the Ohara incident. And after seeing the innocent civilians of Ohara murdered by Akainu, he decides to leave the Marines in order to seek the truth about what exactly the world government has been covering up here. And that actually makes sense because you see, Kuzan is actually based on an actor named Yusaku Matsuda, whose most famous role is playing a detective in a series called Detective Story, perfectly fitting for someone who would want to uncover the truth of the world. And so here he rescues his old comrade Saul from his ice time capsule, and together they set sail, hiding a young Nico Robin, the sole survivor of Ohara. Using the resources of Elbaf, Saul still manages to rescue the saved books from Ohara and hides all of them away, and Kuzan and Robin keep exploring the world in secret, collecting poneglyphs in order to uncover the true history. And then as Robin grows up, she becomes officially recognized as Kuzan's first mate. Then I could absolutely see Kuzan being approached by Monkey D. Dragon, leader of the revolutionaries, but declines to join forces with them. Theirs is a journey to seek knowledge, not to wage war against the world government. However, their factions are friendly towards one another, I think, as they probably are right now. However, there's actually another up-and-coming pirate with the goal of learning the meaning of the D initial and what happened during the Void Century, joining together with Kuzan's crew as the ship's doctor is Trafalgar Law. And so, due to their low profile and stealthy operations, trying to avoid conflict when possible, the Permafrost pirates are able to gather the poneglyphs without bringing too much attention to themselves. And I picked that crew name because it comes from a combination of Kuzan's ice abilities along with Permafrost's association with finding well-preserved fossils of extinct animals, very fitting for an archaeologist like Robin and all of their crew, I think. I mean, just imagine a crew where Robin's and Law's strategically brilliant minds can enact enact plans without Luffy there to completely ruin them pretty much instantaneously, and with the muscle that Kuzan can provide where it's needed if they do get in a fight. In other words, I would argue that this crew might very well have a good shot at being able to obtain the One Piece, but later on in this video, they'll have some serious competition for it. For Kuzan's Jolly Roger, I could see being a shivering skull encased in ice, and for threatening to reveal the true history, I think Kuzan earns a bounty of 5 billion berries. But next up we have a kind of honorable mention, and it is Kuzan's own mentor, Monkey D. Garp. Now, he is not an admiral, but only because he does keep turning down the position. And so Garp, aka Luffy's grandpa, aka the hero of the Marines, really just makes sense as a pirate. I mean, just look at this picture of him as a child. I mean, does this little wild boy riding a tiger with a treasure really feel like a Marine, or does this look like a pirate to you? Now, we're actually not 100% sure what Garp's initial motivations for joining the Marines actually were in the first place, but we do know why he refuses to become an admiral. That's because ever since the God Valley incident, he's harbored a real hatred for the Celestial Dragons. So in our new timeline, we'll take it one step further. Whatever happened at God Valley during the battle against Rocks alongside Roger didn't just convince Garp to hate the Celestial Dragons, it convinced him to turn his back on the Marines entirely. And so after God Valley, we know Roger was inspired to seek out the poneglyphs, uncover the true history, and find Laugh Tale, but this time he has his new best bro traveling right alongside him as a member of his crew. And after Roger's death, unfortunately, I think he wasn't in the position to save Ace, and in addition, his rebellious grandson Luffy might even be inclined to become a Marine in this timeline since things are so flipped around. However, like many of the Roger pirates, Garp would probably take up residence in a key point of the Grand Line, looking for and aiding the potential next Joy Boy. Really, it's probably not a coincidence that Crocus lived at the very start of the Grand Line, Rayleigh at the halfway point, and both of them helping Luffy on his journey. And so I like to think that Garp would then settle down on Roadstar Island, which is the last official island of the Grand Line, waiting there for Joy Boy to arrive. And for his betrayal of the world government and aiding the Pirate King, Garp would probably earn a bounty of at least 5 billion berries as well. And actually, while we're at it, what about another person from Roger's era? Because before he was Fleet Admiral, Sengoku must logically have held the position of Admiral as well, which makes us ask, what if Sengoku was a pirate? Now, this one is the absolute wildest in the lineup, I think, because out of every character who's held the position of Admiral, Sengoku is by far the least piratey of all of them. However, there are a few instances where we do see Sengoku's faith in the Marine organization being tested. One of these moments is the death of Rosinante. Others include the cover-up of the Impel Down escape and even the entirety of the Shichibukai system. And so could these be enough to make Sengoku the quintessential honorable Marine quid though? Honestly, probably not, but he could pretend to be a pirate as a sword member just like X-Ray. And so fooling exactly no one, Sengoku would set out as the captain of the actually a pirate crew, and he would frequent places popular with other pirates in order to gather secret intel for the Marines. But should you actually dare to call him on his very obvious bluff, be ready to face down against the one-eyed Buddha, his ancient Zoan form, but now wearing an eye patch like, of course, a real pirate would. But to help make his cover even better, the Marines have given him a very convincing bounty of 10,000 berries, which is, of course, absolutely nothing compared to the last admiral on our list. But first, back to the current admirals though, because we have the latest admiral that we've met in the series, Green Bull, real name Aramaki, based on a character from the samurai film Ronin guy named, well, Aramaki. That was obvious. And really, he just seems to use his new position as an admiral to run absolutely crazy with his powers. He's a devotee of Fleet Admiral Akainu and is more than happy to use violence to try to subjugate Wano under the authority of the world governments. And so really, had Aramaki just been a pirate, I could definitely see him being a pirate like Eustace Kid, for example. He really seems to enjoy harming the weak or the innocent just because he can. And due to his survival of the fittest mentality, he might might actually get along really well with the Beast Pirates, but we have a feeling that without a zone fruit, Kaido just won't let you into the crew no matter how strong you are. Really gotta make sure to keep that theme consistent. Instead, in order to rein Aramaki in, the government would probably give him a position as a warlord. So much in the way that he was conscripted into the Marines as an admiral, this way the government would still get to utilize his powers while giving him some free rein to commit the acts of violence that he does really seem to enjoy. What a nice person. And if you're sailing at sea and happen to see a forest coming towards you, you should probably turn around. It might just be the Wildwood Pirates. You can tell that for certain by the Jolly Roger, a skull overgrown with foliage and ivy, and their captain, the forest man Aramaki, who has a frozen 1 billion berry bounty that he got before becoming a warlord. But of course, Aramaki might actually fit in better as the subordinate of our next marine turned pirate, 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍. As you know, Akainu, the current fleet admiral, is an adherent to absolute justice. He does hate pirate with every fiber of his being and wants nothing more than to live in a world without them. So really, what could ever convince him out of all people to become a pirate? Well, based on 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍's childhood picture here, it seems like he actually had a very difficult and violent past. And so my guess is that his hatred of pirates is deeply rooted in his childhood, where he probably suffered greatly at the hands of pirates at some point. But what would have happened if he had actually fallen into the cycle of violence and crime instead of trying to rise above it? After all, his likeness, Bunta Sugawara, is known for playing raw, masculine, and violent characters. And so what if 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍 actually decided to become a pirate to end all other pirates? In other words, many pirates do seek the One Piece for wealth, fame, or power, but not 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍. He wants to find the One Piece with the singular aim of destroying it, because that way it will never inspire another pirate to ever set sail again. And honestly, he'd have a pretty good shot at doing it as well, because there's actually a question corner quote from Oda that once said that if Akainu was the protagonist of the series, he'd find the One Piece in 1 year. No need for a 2-year time skip for this guy. But actually, this is actually a misconception based on a slight mistranslation of that quote. What Oda actually said is that with a protagonist as strong as Akainu, he'd finish writing One Piece in a year. But isn't that even crazier? I mean, how much time actually passes throughout a year of publication in the actual One Piece story? Not that much. Less than a year, I would say, for sure. Just for reference, the raid on Onigashima, which was actually less than a night, was published over the span of 2 real-life years. So would 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍 just sail straight up to all the emperors, claim their road poneglyphs, and head to Laugh Tale all in like 1 night? I mean, honestly, maybe so, especially if he manages to recruit similarly ruthless crewmates. Because honestly, I would absolutely see people like Shiryu, Lucci, and Aramaki joining Akainu, people who hide their bloodlust behind the banner of justice, because they would fit right in with his crew. The crew, which of course would be named the Bonsai Pirates, named for 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍's favorite hobby. 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍 would then set sail for Laugh Tale very quickly, his ship flying a Jolly Roger bursting from the top like a volcanic eruption, similar to how any pirate-inhabited islands they passed through would look once he was done with them. And then for spreading violence, carnage, and fear throughout the entire One Piece world, 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍 would be named a Yonko, but he would have no interest in the title whatsoever or holding any territory. His goal, find the One Piece and destroy the One Piece. I think as a result, he would be fated once again to face down Kuzan, but this time not at Punk Hazard, but at Laugh Tale. One of them fighting to uncover the true history, the other one fighting to destroy it forever. And we do all know how this fight would probably turn out. 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍 would prove to be victorious, earning a 10 billion berry bounty and the title of the last pirate king, burning every last remnant of Joy Boy's treasure. Akainu really is an absolute monster. No wonder that Luffy couldn't do anything to stop him at Marineford, but I do wonder if things might have been different if Luffy had already had all his Haki and Gear 5 powers at Marineford, which, lucky for you, you can find out right now in this video right here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.